Hello and welcome back. Today I thought of doing something a little bit different and moving off the beaten path and just maybe concentrate on Angelina Jordan's rehearsals. I think maybe that's a different way, at least for me anyway, to have more of an insight into the personality of this incredibly talented young individual. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I don't know how many I could find, but I'll see how many. And I'm starting off with one of her original songs, which is Oslo. And I've never heard this before, so it'd be interesting to hear. And I like the laid back attitude of the rehearsal. I think it's actually quite nice. I did see that there was a picture of another scenario where she's in a concert and so on, but that seemed quite distant. So this is more up close and personal, which I think is I like, you know. So hopefully you will like it as well. I'm gonna stop several times, but this is sort of interesting because as soon as I put the video on, it was quite loud, and I had to lower the volume, and it made me think about rehearsing in a confined area for singers, whether they wear earplugs in order to protect their ears, especially when there's a lot of instruments playing. And I'm hoping that now that she's a recognized star and is probably has a huge studio and so on to help her, that she's taking care of that, or that she's protecting her ears. And yeah, that's it. But I like the way it started. It's actually kind of nice because obviously when she says she speaks about a little girl, she's talking about herself. This is her always. She always seems to sing about. It sounds like someone else, but it's actually her. And it's quite interesting. It's like she's another person now than she was when she was younger, or in part. And this reflection back is quite amazing for such a young talent.
She's singing along with the seagulls in the sky, dancing with the reindeer.
And just like I would expect, she introduces the visions of birds in the sky. I think she likes that. She likes the obviously nature, and Oslo and Norway. I see that as a country with lots of nature, so it makes sense. It's quite cute. Now, for those who don't like that I interrupt, this is just a stream of consciousness that I'm trying to to just sort of like my way of thinking as the song progresses. If you want to watch the song full without interruptions, it's available on YouTube. I'll put a link to it so you can watch it without interruptions.
Round and round she goes, caught in the tide of rainbows reminds her.
It's amazing how she draws with her words, and the way she uses certain animals, the birds, the reindeer, and then the skies, the rainbow. It's all she uses metaphor and she uses descriptions so nicely, very much like a writer, and she keeps impressing me every time I hear her.
This way now lasts, and down she goes in Oslo.
Now, I don't know, was she born in Oslo? Or is it because it's the capital of Norway that she's making this sort of song? Sounds more like a tribute, or maybe a little bit of an anthem. Quite nice. And that's fascinating that the stars are her witnesses for wherever she is. She gives this imagery of always being watched in some way, whether it's the stars, the sky, or the camera that that I think her grandma basically has gotten her used to. So it must be something else, from when she was very young, to be in the spotlight like she has been, and always being looked at through the camera in some fashion or another. Yes. And her eyes will always be back home, so she's always thinking of home. But what I find interesting is the way she nodded to, I would imagine it's her grandmother filming this, and there's a conversation going on between the two of them all the time without actually speaking. It's quite fascinating in the way they understand each other. I'm really impressed with that. And she's nodding. That means her grandma is saying something, suggesting something, and she's nodding. Yes. I think she takes whatever her grandma points out seriously, and she abides by that. Sort of like a manager. Her grandmother is managing, molding. In a way, it's like someone had mentioned that Angelina is statuesque. In a way, I imagine that her mom is like a sculptor, and Angelina is her work of art in some fashion. Because they say that a sculptor, or at least that's what I once heard or read, that a sculptor already has the image in his mind of what he wants to do or she wants to do with the building block, or let's say the piece of marble, and then what they do is they sculpt out the things that are not part of the picture, and they already have the picture in mind. They know exactly how it's going to be before they begin. And all they're doing is removing what is not necessary, and I wonder how her grandma, if she sort of had already an image, because she saw what Angelina was, and just basically removed all the things that were not necessary to leave the beautiful sculpture of this incredible talent, and to show it fully for what it is. So yeah, her grandma is as big a part, I think, of Angelina's success as is Angelina's talent.
Gentle sounds of the Atlantic Sea.
At least that's what I think. Sorry about that.
It makes you so As magic country
I mean, she refers to Norway as a magic country, and I can understand why that would be, and maybe I'll go further into detail a little later. Now it's sorry, I have to get. So again, she repeats the chorus, and it's you know, that the stars are witnesses and our eyes will always be back home. It's like she'll always be thinking of Oslo, Norway in particular, and I think this is. To me, it feels like a lot of her songs are not only intended for the audience but for herself as well, almost like a diary, to remind herself of things. And it's funny how when she's in front of the camera and her grandma is there, she makes sure that she performs, even in her rehearsal, she performs nicely if she's doing a full song. And yeah, I find this incredibly nice, and yeah. You see how she did a little shift in her seat, just a little bit before, and she does that when she's when she needs the extra breath. Yeah, she at least that's what I noticed in my reaction to or when she sang I'd Rather Go Blind. They're all there. It seems all the instruments are working. Hopefully not too loud, because that is very confined, the area, and that could do damage in someone's eardrums after a continuously being around loud music. So now she's repeating the chorus again. So it's and it's funny how she reminds herself of she's on, of her grandmother, that she's there. It's the way she snaps back from wherever her mind is going back to the song. It's I don't know what her sweater is. It looks like a leaf or something, but quite interesting. Now that last note, sort of, I don't know where that comes from. I think it shows her sense of youth and so on. And it is very much, I think, it's actually quite nice, the song. I'm surprised it doesn't have as much popularity as the other ones, because it is somewhat of an anthem, I think, to Oslo to Norway, and I can understand her affection for the country where she was born in, and I guess raised in, and yeah, I mean it's the country itself. I mean, I don't know a lot about it. Um, I did meet a while ago a woman from Norway, and she was as stunning and humble as unexpected as that was. Being stunning and humble at the same time is not necessarily always found, and a similar I think characteristic in that sense. That's what Angelina reminds me of. But so because of that woman that I met, and I liked her, so I started getting interested in Norway, and at the time, and so what I do know about Norway is more on the from an outsider point of view, that it is very much of a rich country. It's managed its resources very well, because it is rich in oil and gas, natural resources. Although it's done very well with that, it also is a country that leads the world in, I think, buying electric cars. So it balances out its effects on the planet, and I think it has a very very nice holistic attitude, because even with its foreign sovereign wealth fund, where a relatively small population of 6-7 million people, they did not, with the profits from the oil and gas, they didn't waste them, they didn't splurge them, they conserved them, they built up a nice nest egg, which is a sovereign fund and wealth fund, and basically that has given them, I think, an added support level and a nice safety net, financial safety net for the population. So it's, in my opinion, it's been managed quite well, relatively speaking, to other countries that have the same resource-based society, or a resource-based country, and I think it takes care of its people quite nicely, from what I remember, yeah. So there's a lot to love about the country itself, and I think this anthem towards her country is a pretty interesting idea for Angelina. Not only because I think she misses it, but because it. When I think about young talent, I mean, imagine if Angelina was born elsewhere, right? She was born in another country, maybe not a rich country, maybe a poor country. Would we ever hear of her? And I'm sure there's other, maybe there's another Angelina, or another boy or a girl that it's being raised in a country that does not have the opportunities that Angelina's had, and may have a similar talent, or maybe not, I don't know. But I mean, that's what I mean by a lot of things are circumstantial in life, and for Angelina, there's a lot of things that happened, I think, that created this young talent, in the sense of the way her mind is wired, as I mentioned previously, her genetics and so on. And it's as if like she's picked up on all the best things available in her gene pool of her family and her ancestors, and added some other elements to it, and she has a perspective in life that's, I think, rare as a young person. So this ability is, I think, magnified by the fact that she was brought up in a nurturing family, in a relatively a rich society and an egalitarian society as well, which I think explains a lot of her humble attitude. So, and I think what makes Angelina special, and the way her mind works, is that she's such a I can't say more than a genius in the way her mind is structured, her brain works, that she realizes this. This is what I think impresses me most about Angelina. From what I understand from her writing, from her book, as a 9-year-old, and her story, and how she portrays her songs, and just the little bits of ideas that I see coming from her, tell me that she realizes that if it wasn't for all these things coming together, she wouldn't be who she is. That she realizes that she's relatively lucky in certain sense, and what she did is she applied all her energies in trying to make herself make herself the best she could be in the sense of talent and so on. And she's worked hard. From my understanding, she's since she was a kid, very 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 young. So she continues to work diligently, and she's a perfectionist. She continues to learn. She continues to explore different avenues of music. I think she is already an incredible person. And this song, I think this tribute to Norway shows her appreciation for what her country has provided for her the opportunity and the opportunities, and also it's part of her humbleness and so on. Anyway, I think I've spoken enough. Thank you. On to the next rehearsal.